Hi everyone. Thanks to Brain Innovator, Fox, and the Thieves for having us. I'm really excited to be moderating this panel with those amazing individuals. I think it's a terrific topic. Everyone is obsessed with growth, and there's different ways to achieve it. Media, collaboration, and obviously the cool factors are all pretty instrumental in that manner. And as you can see, we have amazing panel with different sectors represented, and I would love to start by having each of you introduce yourself and say very shortly about what you're doing in your company.
Thank you. I'm Jonelle Brown, Director of Global Franchise Planning and Studio Marketing Paramount Pictures within the global Paramount Consumer Products business. So I kind of look at the CP life cycle, being able to pitch in licensees, collaboration partners in partnership with our global sales organization, and then when we get to the marketing realm of everything, really making sure that the marketing campaign adds up to the larger campaign that the overall studio is producing as well. So you may have seen some of our toys for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem on shelves, or Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie that's coming out in a couple of weeks. So that is my team, which is really exciting.
Hey guys, my name is Knowles. I'm the Global Head of Experiential Marketing at Canva. For those of you that don't know Canva, we're a design platform based out of Sydney, Australia, a little tech startup that's made big waves here in the US and we continue to make even bigger ones. But I am responsible for all of our experiential activity across all of our different markets. That's anything from fun pop-up satellites, CES of the world, and South by to our own temple programs that Canva create and started.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff. I lead media and growth partnerships at Sweetgreen. So nothing overseas, all of our partnership applications, primarily startup salads and supporting our new startup people. So yeah, great to be here.
And I'm Rob Lewis, CEO of The Fifth. For anyone who missed the introduction, Charles brilliantly again this morning. I'll just remind you we're an influence agency based here in the lot in LA, but also in London. So we help brands really ignite culture, build communities, and build their brand equity through social creative and influence marketing. And we do say for some of the biggest entertainment brands in the world. And lastly, I just want to say a huge welcome to everybody being on the lot with us today. It's been amazing listening to talks, and I might not get an opportunity to say that again, so I'm just going to do that. But thanks.
Amazing. So yeah, as you can see, a pretty large expertise with a lot of different knowledge. So we're going to start with an icebreaker. The question is, what has been your favorite marketing collaboration this past year or all time? And you cannot choose something that you've helped or inspired. Oliver, you can start.
So me?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I think the thing that's really stuck out for me this year in terms of collaboration is that there's been some amazing ones, but there's a real sense of visual escapism coming into a lot of the way that brands are thinking about their partnerships. It's becoming much bolder, more provocative, they're showing up in spaces that are much more surprising. And I'm not going to shout out about it, but we have to for some reason, because frankly, because I actually haven't even mentioned that much today. But because actually they've done some really surprising and unexpected things. But my favourite actually, for a couple of reasons, has been the work and the roadmap that Heinz are doing at the moment. It's a famous ketchup brand, largely for a couple of reasons. One, that what's now been 2 or 3 key partnerships started with a sort of big social moment. So Gigi Hadid famously blew up TikTok by putting vodka into her pasta sauce. And of course that sprung, most people let that thrive in social only and through her channels, but they partnered with Absolute Vodka, they partnered with distribution partners in the UK, including Waitrose, and got this incredible brand synergy for a new pasta sauce, which I'm sure many people saw, which I think was great and very much in their lane, but they developed that beyond by launching tattooing and to really move into owning what I now see as the synergy between Barbie and Heinz by owning the colour red. Barbie now owns pink. Heinz are saying they're selling red, and they've developed that into launching a paint colour with Lick, which you probably saw recently. And so now, Heinz Tomato Red is in your home, and it's on your arm, And I think that's really, really exciting what they're doing. And I hope they continue down that track because it's bold, it's visual, and it's really maxing out.
Wonderful. Jeff, do you want to know?
Yeah, I think the two that just comes to me just because of COVID and people from my life is just like the call out Jenny's and their Ted Lasso biscuits with your boss ice cream that they collaborated with. I don't know if anyone got it. It's quite good. And so lined up like at the crack of dawn to go get it because I know it's going to sell out. So just like to be culturally relevant while still bringing value to your consumer base is amazing. And also, I think I just read that Lego's doing a Taylor Swift Eras house collab, which I'm extremely excited about being a huge Swiftie. So I'm definitely going to get that.
A little bit out of left field, but I think I've only moved to LA about 18 months ago. I spent my entire life on the East Coast, so I'm a New York City gal at heart. And one of my favorite fashion brands is Kith, for anybody that's familiar. And I think they consistently knock it out of the park with their collaborations, whether it's Looney Tunes or the recent collab with Brian Cox or Jerry Seinfeld or the Knicks or whatever it might be. I always feel like their storytelling is so focused and intentional, and they obviously make really big waves with all the collaborations that they do, and I'm a big fan. So anything that Kith is doing, I'm buying.
I will say that we did a kid collaboration with Godfather that sold out in minutes. So it was good job to me. I would be a person who could party, because how could I not? Just from a theatrical standpoint, I'm sitting there jealous as all get out, but also super excited about it. And probably two of my favorite ones that they did was the Airbnb collaboration with Barbara Dreamhouse. It was just brilliant. And then the one that I did not expect, and when I saw the commercial, I was stunned, was the Progressive Insurance commercial. Because how do you bundle home and auto insurance with Barbie and the dream house and her car? And I was just beside myself. So that was really well done. The gold star to Mattel and Warner Brothers on that.
Pretty amazing. All those examples are pretty amazing and really defining the way brands and advertisers are taking on collaboration right now. But yeah, if we look at the definition of collaboration, it's the action of working with someone to produce or create something. And in the case of this panel, it's to go to produce a cool factor that will build your brand recognition, build your brand favorability. But I expect that for each of you, it means a little more. It's like you're going to bring this cool factor, but behind that, what are the other KPIs that you're held onto behind simple, cool ID? I don't know if you want to start.
I can start. I actually was thinking about this question ahead of time, and I sort of jumped the gun about Kith, because that was one of our collaborations where a brand is as old and as respected as Godfather, and Kith is really cool, edgy streetwear brand. So for us, the success there, even though it was a limited run, was the fact that it sold out in a few minutes, right? Versus something that we have from an evergreen standpoint are always on. So Kith is more specialty. We also have, product at mass retail. So for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the product is just flying off the shelves at retail. And so that's the other end of it where we have to consistently refresh and order new product and keep those shelves stocked. So we're able to really measure it in two ways. A limited collaboration that flies off the shelves in a few minutes and no one can get it, and then the mass play at Target or Walmart where we're consistently adding new orders so that it's always present for our fans.
The world of experiential is traditionally, as I'm sure a lot of folks in this room know, difficult to measure, right? Which makes my job very fun and interesting when I'm going to leadership and asking for millions of colleagues, and they're like, why? I'm like, because it's cool, isn't that enough for you? It's not, spoiler alert. One of the big jobs we've done right now at Canva is a lot about shifting perception. Canva gained a lot of fame and notoriety, certainly over the pandemic, strangely, were our key growth years. We went from 400 employees in 2019 to now almost 4,000 across the globe in a very short amount of time. And one of the key jobs as Canva started to grow up over the past decade or so. We just celebrated our 10th birthday on August 26th. And those 10 years were spent in the individual market, right? Empowering the world to design through your personal passion projects, whether it was creating your invitation for your birthday party or your wedding save the date or whatever it might be. The future of Canva, as we start to look forward, is all in the B2B space. So the big job to be done right now for us is about this shifting in perception from Canva, this cool, fun, easy-to-use tool that you use to do those fun, creative things, now to being Canva, the viable solution in the workplace to empower your teams to create content at scale. So when we talk about like KPIs and what we're measuring against, that shift in perception is really big for us, and especially in the experiential space. We're watching that shift in perception happen live at the events that we're going to. People coming up to us and being like, Canva, I know Canva, I use you to make my wedding save the date. What are you doing at Possible? Or why are you here at Cannes? Or why are you at CES? So being able to do that live, we found a lot of value in that experiential space, which has been really fun.
If you guys want to add something.
Yeah, I can add briefly. I guess for me, in the acid test for any cultural movement or any partnership that's considered authentic, and because you can get incredible spikes in doing some of these really cool brand activations and really short, sharp uplifts in brand metrics, but the real acid test for it is about how your social engagement, and most importantly, your social community is built around it. I mean, if you're going to invest in some of these big, high maximalist kind of strategies, ultimately one is a much longer term payoff. So for me, I'd be tracking the social community that you're building around that, because that's where your long-term value is. And I think it's probably underserved sometimes, and a lot of these things are driven for PR, but actually that's still relatively short term. So yeah, I would be thinking about how you can maximize the long-term output of some of these strategies and building a community that you can then tap into for the rest of the year and the rest of your above the line strategy. And so yeah, for me, that's the key sort of secondary parallel KPI that we need to go alongside the brand output.
Right. And yeah, I would imagine for every successful partnership that the stakes are getting higher and higher, and you're always coming up with like a new and creative idea, and it's a race that is really, I guess, stressful. And I was wondering if for each of you in your job or in your company, how do you maintain this cool factor? Do you have any processes, any way of really like tracking that down and being sure that you always stay on top of the trend?
So for something like, on the franchise side, we're dealing with franchises that have been around for a long time. And a great example is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so that has been around 39 years. And iteration has always been core to that brand. And every few years we get to reinvent it. And so the most recent movie release, what's been great is that we have a multi-generational approach to that. So you have those core fans from the 80s who grew up on the movie, or the comic books and the cartoon, and are now parents themselves and can introduce this to their children and their families, but also there are those super fans who are adult collectors. And so we have multiple touch points with that brand, and that helps to reinvigorate it so it does continue to feel relevant. It gets new life breathed into it, which is really exciting, so that we can maintain that momentum for another 40 plus years.
I guess I can jump in because I think we're on the opposite end of that spectrum. We're a 15-year-old company, and I think I was lucky enough to join a company that is objectively pretty cool, I would say. We're a digital first brand. We really lean into our kind of innovation and trying to do things that are kind of ahead of the time within our QSR fast casual space. I think really the challenges about that is really just how do you stay relevant and how do you stay cool, right? There's that old adage of if you try to be cool, you tend to just not be cool. And so it's it really is about, as we're thinking about partnerships, we just had our launch of our Renee partnership yesterday. And it's these partnerships actually, what's really interesting is it was actually Renee sliding into one of our co-founders' DMs about how much she eats Sweetgreen every single day, multiple times throughout the day. And this kind of natural, authentic, partnership just was born from nothing, right? And it's really about making sure that, and especially with kids these days, you can tell when you're just selling something, when you're not being authentic, and when you really have goals that align and you provide value, that's where we really see that cool factor transfer over to us. So I would say those are the key things that we really try to stick with.
I would say just on the Canva side, I know I kind of alluded to that, like big job to be done right in that shift of perception from a B2C to a B2B brand. A lot of my background comes in B2C. I spent a decade at a company called Civic Entertainment Group in New York City, working on Experiential for the likes of the Metas of the world, and Pinterest and Disney and Hulu and all these fun guys that are probably sitting in the room right now. But doing a lot of really cool stuff. So now with this added challenge of like, how do we make Canva a really cool brand in the B2B space, which is traditionally not a very exciting, sexy, space to operate in. I'm very much thinking about B2C, B2B through a B2C lens, and how we're bringing that same level of like, high energy, creative, dynamic thinking and activation to the B2B space, and how we're able to kind of like cut through at some of these larger events where you've got the standard setup of the table and the pop-up banners, but now we're coming in with Canva's Creative Juices, and it's the Creative Juices bar, and you're creating and designing your own juice label and selling it out, giving it out to people. So really thinking about how we bring that consumer angle to B2B, I think has helped us to still stay semi-cool and relevant and creative.
I mean, the only thing I'd add, because everybody answered the challenge, I guess, that I always have, and I think an agency perspective, with clients is it's really tempting to try and force being cool by jumping on trends. Even quite quickly, if you try and jump on a trend, you're too late, right? And we have a very distinct view that we think brands can be as influential on social. I think there's the people that potentially represent them, there's their communities. And therefore, in order to do that and to be influential, you have to start trends. And you have to be bold, therefore, and fearless enough to leave your brand out there sometimes and to allow it to breathe, particularly on social. And so, for me, whether cool or uncool, the most important thing, as you said, is being really, really authentic to the way in which a community will react to it. It's really, really easy to be cancelled for trying to jump on something too quickly because you think it will resonate, or you think you're going to get earned cool factor off the back of it. I'll give you one very quick example. I think some real legacy brand that really nailed this recently was McDonald's, who it was really tough. I don't know if you saw the Happy Birthday Christmas campaign, their purple shake, right? Who the hell knew that was going to blow up into an absurd but hilarious TikTok trend, right? I mean, it's now over 3.6 billion views, and coincidentally has driven a plus 11% uptick in sales. Everyone that's seen it, TikTok blew up by taking the purple shake, memorializing it, but then right at the end of every single video, it cut to what can only be described as a graphic horror scene, right? And it's ludicrous. I mean, if I brief that to McDonald's, they'd kick us out of the room. But incredible, right, in its impact. But what McDonald's did after that is probably what's most important. It would have been so easy to jump on that, right, and actually try and own it and try and go, yeah, that's what we've done all along. It's great, right? They didn't. They stepped back from it. But saying nothing would also have been a mistake. Jumping on the trend would have been a mistake. So what's the middle ground that they nailed? It was ultimately just acknowledging it, right? And they put Grimace back onto their socials. They acknowledged it. They sort of embraced it, and they said, "We're alright with you messing with our brand. You're actually fine with it. It's cool." And the uplift is there to see, right? So sometimes it's the response actually that makes you really cool, and I think they nailed that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you kind of alluded to that, but one question I had was actually that we're seeing so many collaboration now, and the rise is exponential. And I get the aspect that attracts brand is that you can reach a new audience, you can really go beyond. You have like this synergy that you can build if you choose like the right partner. But the question is more like, is there a limit to that? Like for your own brand, is there a limit? Is there like too many collaboration, and then you dilute your own brand, and you sort of can kind of lose the brand identity? I was wondering if you have like an opinion or like a way of approaching that. Anyone? No?
I think just in general, you do risk being overexposed, so you have to be really thoughtful and strategic, because audiences will get tired of things after a while. Even, again, focus to the one, as much as I love Barbie, I have a bunch of friends who are like, oh, it was everywhere, I can't stand it, who cares? So, you know what I mean? There is that balance, so I think you have to be really careful, especially with a brand that's so beloved, or something that's had a lot of buzz. it's okay to pull back after a while so people can miss you, and then you can re-engage.
Yeah, so I'm seeing sometimes example of brands that really do so many collaborations. Like if you have one product, I'm just gonna say one, but like the removal luggage, or like some of these brands, they are doing like collaboration. At first, like the three first collaborations, like, oh, that's really cool. But then it's like, it's the same luggage, but it's just like a new branding. And I think at a certain point, you start like losing some of your own branding and like own identity.
And I can move very quickly. I mean, from a creator's perspective, because I think I get that lens, we've seen a shift over the last, maybe like 2 years specifically, but very, very much so in the last 12 months. So be much more intentional with brands that you're willing to work with. We've heard it probably 6 or 7 times today that long-term or considered ambassadorships and partnerships in that space are far more effective. But a lot of that isn't just being driven by the brands, it's being driven by the creators. Much more intentional, and have understood that maybe more acutely than brands have, that if you force too many partnerships into your audience, you will burn that audience very quickly. And because you can't be authentic to every category and to every passion point. So, part of our business is to represent talent as a sister agency, and we are turning away more brand deals now than we were as a result of creating. It's just not right. It's not authentic. Yeah, I can take the money. So, but we don't want it. And I think there's a lesson in that.
One thing I just want to add to that is I think like programmatic sponsorship is a little different than like influencers in particular, because it really is a numbers game when you're playing in the influencer space. You're never going to bat 1,000. Like there's brand partnerships that we try to do that we knew for sure was going to bomb, like for some reason did well, and vice versa. And so there's like that weird intersection of being, again, like what you said earlier about having the bravery to go try new things and like lead and try to create trends, but also like not overextend, right? And at a certain point, is there a right answer to like understand what that number is probably going to be varied from brand to brand, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that you're risking, you're out in the market enough that it actually can have some sort of value.
Yeah, and actually, as you're speaking, that reminds me of something that we discussed during our prep, Jeff, was that like collaboration, we can think about like collaboration with like influencers and like collaborator. And I think what I found inspiring at Sweetgreen is actually the community aspect and the way you're like a quick, like a QSR, and you really try to build community around your store. And if you can maybe talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're alluding to is just when we do open up a lot of new stores, like our mission statement is really to be infused with the local community. When we buy all of our local produce from local farmers as much as possible, we try to source everything from the neighboring community. When we open stores, all the artwork that you see within the stores are from local artists, and we support that. And the first day, basically every sale from every bowl goes, a portion of that goes to a local charity that we support. So, I mean, I think being a part of the community as opposed to being like a big conglomerate coming in and just like selling your stuff is the opposite of cool, I guess. But that's really something that we like really value, and we'll continue to do as we get into your forward stores.
Okay, great. I don't know if there's any question. We're running out of time. Any question in the audience?
Okay, really quick, I mean, you guys were talking about all these things, and you guys didn't talk about the A, B, and the right thing. And I don't know if like we've all forgotten about it already, because it happened a few months ago, but some of the things you were mentioning kind of remind me of it. Experimentation, backlash, I mean, that company lost significant value, monetary value, pocketbooks. People were let go that I've heard like amazing executives from some of the other stakeholders. What are you guys thinking about that?
Without just very quickly, I think I've got 2 thoughts on it. One is did there is that community in the first place? Because I think the intention of that partnership was absolutely right. And I think it's coming from an authentic position, but they obviously were doing it in full knowledge that it would be against core target audiences. Okay, so they were bold enough to go into that partnership knowing that it was certainly going to alienate a few of their core target consumers, but the message and the value were right. My issue with it is the reaction after it, where they seemingly did such a swift U-turn, and whatever we think of Dylan, completely and utterly dropped them, and left them exposed and in quite a dangerous position, I think, from some of the backlash that's coming their way. So I have an issue with the way it was managed post. I understand that they were falling off a cliff quickly, but they didn't really have the strength of conviction, which means maybe it wasn't authentic in the first place. So, I don't know, very difficult situation to manage, but certainly one that you looked into with full knowledge. With crisis management to bring the position up on the table.
Great, thank you everyone. It was great to have you.